Y'all, I am back and I am really, really excited. God just plopped incredible guests in front of me for this podcast and for you to hear their messages. It's just been unbelievable. If you've hung with us for the last 5 episodes, you just heard an incredible redemption story through somebody who was 20 years addicted to hard drugs and just like the worst of the worst. And you heard God pull her through it, walk her through it, hold her hand through it. So if you haven't listened to that, please do. If you have listened to that, should I say that I'm sorry? Because now you just get me. I had so many people reach out to me and be like, bro, this is like a Netflix series. This is like watching some wild documentary. I had people messaging me like, that episode could have been 2 hours and I still would have hung in. So thank you for all the messages. Incredible story. Don't miss it. But now you have me and I have a story to tell about what's kind of been going on behind the scenes. I got a life update for you. I have an Oopsie Daisy podcast vision update for you. There's some things that are changing around here. There's some huge things that have honestly, oh my gosh, am I going to cry already? Maybe. There's huge things that have changed in me too over the last 3 or 4 months. And so I'm just going to talk a little bit about that today. We're going to hit on the topic of obedience. I'm not going to like page turn the Bible. I got some scripture for you. I got some story references for you, but you literally get to sit right on the couch next to me and just hear what I've walked through, how it led me right here, right now, and what we're going to do about it going forward. So this all kind of started 3 months ago when I was feeling so confused and overwhelmed and unsure of what to focus on because I'll be honest, my head is a busy place and all of these things that God has put on my heart and in my head have been overwhelming me. And I haven't really been sure how to flesh it all out, how to organize it, how to really go after it, or to be honest, if I'm even called to it, any of it, even this podcast, this microphone, I just had real kind of existential crisis-y questions. And I've just sort of been struggling off camera, off microphone. I just haven't quite been sure of myself recently. That all changed about 3 weeks ago, maybe, not even. So at the beginning of May, my husband and I took a trip to Philadelphia. And starting last year, so this is the second annual Cinco de Mayo city adventure. So last year we traveled to Cincinnati over Cinco de Mayo, and this year we traveled to Philadelphia. We've just discovered that like city life and exploring together and just like farting around the city together is so much fun for us. So we very, very randomly, which now I see as the hand of God, but very randomly we're like, yeah, let's go to Philadelphia. So we're exploring the city and we have some historical monuments and landmarks that we have earmarked that we want to go to. And I'll be honest, like I like history. I really do. I don't like to read about history. I mean, if I do read history, it's historical fiction where like the costumes are beautiful and the ladies have fans and it's always like about falling in love with some Civil War admiral or whatever. Like I am not reading deep, grinding, historical documentation. That's not who I am. I also am not choosing to watch that in my spare time on like Nat Geo. Is that the place that has documentaries? Or Netflix. I'd rather watch Love is Blind. I'll be honest. Give me stupid TV at any moment just to like escape the world. So I love history, but I'm not like a history buff like my husband is. I will say there is something about being there and seeing it and walking where these people have walked that does really get me. I'm like, oh my gosh, my feet touch the same cobblestones as Benjamin Franklin. But we decided to go to Independence Hall, which is the place where the Declaration of Independence was signed. It's like the birthplace of our country, and Thomas Jefferson was there, and Benjamin Franklin, and we saw the original chair that George Washington sat in. Super, super cool. We took this tour, and it was great. We got some great historical information, but afterwards, when our tour group left and we were left standing with this gentleman who was probably 70, 75, I just walked up to him and thanked him for his knowledge and asked him where he had learned all of it. And then he proceeds to launch into this 25-minute conversation that actually changed my life and is why I'm talking about it right now. So this guy tells us how the Revolutionary War, how America gained her independence, really depended on like 10 crucial days, he called it. And so he talks about how we never really should have become a country. We were going up against the biggest superpower in the world who had a well-established government. They had an incredibly powerful and large military. And we were just this hungry, scrappy group of people that believed in something so powerfully that they were willing to go after it even when it didn't make sense. When the odds looked stacked against them, even if it was like logically on paper, this is absolutely a suicide mission. There was just no reason why we should have been a country. And I left that conversation with that man and I broke down into tears on the streets of Philadelphia. And I'm kind of getting a little bit teary-eyed thinking about it now. So there I am next to Independence Hall in a random street in Philadelphia. And I'm crying. And Chris is looking at me going, I'm just at a loss for words. Are you good? Is everything fine? Because I thought we were having a great time. But it was so clear to me how God's hand was on this country and on these men, and how much that powerful belief that they had and that faith they had in something that made no sense just propelled them forward. And we are where we are today because of it. And so as I'm verbally processing this to Chris, I say to him, man, these guys just went for it. They were like, we believe in this so strongly. We have faith in this. We're going to go for it. And at that moment, the Holy Spirit just slipped in my ear and said, what if you go for it? And I was like, go for ice cream? Go for gluten-free donuts? What are we going for here? And he said, these dreams, this vision you have for your life, these things that I have put in your lap, you have been playing it small because you're afraid. You have been cowering in a corner, hoping just on the off chance that this stuff works out, that it's going to happen. Like, it's going to be fine, but, I don't really want to take it too seriously in case it's really not for me. And he challenged me and said, what if you go for it? And so I'm writing about it later, and the Holy Spirit says, take a weekend, get a hotel for a weekend, and sit with me and see what I have to say about Oopsie Daisy, about a business, about everything. And I wrote it down, and then I just walked away from it because, again, it seemed like a fairly stupid idea. I'm like, why would I do that? That's ridiculous. That's money that I don't really want to spend. I just spent money on this trip in Philadelphia. I've been on vacation way too much this year. I don't really need to leave my kids for a weekend. So I tabled it. We got back to Philadelphia, and this idea of going for it is just in my head, and it's stuck. I'm going through all the reasons why this doesn't make any sense. And so finally I tell Chris, I don't know what this is, but I think I'm supposed to get a hotel room and meet with God, have like a meeting with my CEO, a business weekend. Immediately he was like, doesn't really make sense. He's like, why don't the girls and I just go somewhere? You can have a day. I was like, well, it's just free from distractions. If the laundry isn't done, then I'm not worried about it. If the dishes aren't done, I'm not worried about it. But let's be honest, I'm not really that person. I can just shut myself in one clean room and ignore the rest of the clutter. It'll be fine. But that's what I told him. I wasn't manipulating him. At the moment, I thought that was the truth. So he says to me, fine, you get your hotel room. You do you, boo. I don't know how it happened, but I found a great deal on a cheap hotel room, and I got myself a king suite, which I know what you're thinking, but this is not like the Hyatt. Is that a fancy hotel? I don't even know what fancy hotels are. This is not the Marriott, okay? This is not the Trump Towers. This is a king suite at the Choice Quality Inn in Shakopee, Minnesota. And I'm like, yeah, this is it. This is where I'm going. It gets me out of town. And this king suite has 2 rooms. It has like a bedroom area, and then it has sort of more of an office living room area big table, couple couches, big desk, and it had a jacuzzi bathtub. And I'm not kidding you, that was my selling point. I'm just a sucker for a hot bath. So I pack up literally every creative piece that I used in the last year. My podcast mic, a light, my computer, Post-it notes, push pins, my corkboard, my whiteboard, just everything that I could possibly need. Color pencils. I'm not even a drawer, but I'm like, okay, Lord, maybe you could just speak to me in colors this weekend. I'm just going to go for it. I packed everything up, got in the car, and basically peed my pants with fear, which makes no sense. But I was so scared that God would not show up. When we stay in the shallow waters a little bit with what's comfortable. So like on my couch in the morning with my Bible, if I don't feel God or if I don't like hear directly from God, it's okay because it's only like 30 minutes or 25 minutes or maybe an hour. And I can handle that. And I understand like, oh, get you next time, God. Like I believe that when I spend time in the word and I don't feel anything, that it is still filling me. But I was terrified that I had 2.5 straight days of staring God in the face and that he would not show up and it would be silent. And then I would just be like, what do I do with my hands? Like, I don't even know. I didn't have a backup plan. I was going to go for it and I was not going to leave that hotel. I was going to check in Friday at 3:30 and I wasn't leaving that hotel until Sunday morning at 11. And if he didn't show up, I didn't know what I was going to do. I mean, yeah, there's a jacuzzi bathtub, but you can't do that for 60 hours. So I get to this hotel room, set up my little office supplies, which was ridiculous and kind of amazing. And I think I'm going to post a video about it because it was like my favorite space to work ever. And it's like this shady kind of hotel. I mean, people were nice. Service was great. The least fancy hotel I've ever been in. The hallway smells like weed. I can see smoke coming out of people's doors. It's fine. I'm going to my king suite. I'm just going to lock it's me and Jesus. That's it. And so I sit there and put my hands in the air and I go, I have no idea what to do or how to start. And that verse about entering his courts with thanksgiving or entering the gates with thanksgiving and his courts with praise. I don't even know exactly how the verse goes. And so I prayed and I said, Holy Spirit, welcome to this room. Flood this room. Be with me this weekend. And I turned on... You guys, I'm going to cry through this whole podcast. I'm sorry. It's just, this was so deep and intense that I got to just tell it like it is, which means tears. So I turned on Spotify, random worship mix on Spotify. They're like, we're going to make one for you. Perfect. Take it away. I don't even know what song to listen to at this point. And so the first song that comes on this playlist is The King is in the Room. And it was so clear. I had just invited Jesus into that room. And it was like him being like, I'm here. I'm right here. Let's go. And I felt him say, I want to lock eyes with you. I want to sit here, you and me, and I want you to ask me questions. And I want you to ask me 1,000 different things to clarify. And I want to wrestle with ideas, with topics, with projects. I want to be your partner. And I want to really show you what I want you to do. And he brought to mind the previous day when I was reading David's story in 1 Samuel. And it talks about when David asked the Lord so many questions, like such specific questions. And he asks him, I'm going to read it to you. Okay, so it's 1 Samuel 23. And it says so many times, David asked the Lord, David asked the Lord. And they're like very simple questions. David asked the Lord, should I go and attack them? Yes, go and save Keilah, the Lord told him. So David asked the Lord again, and again the Lord replied, go down to Keilah, for I will help you conquer the Philistines. So he goes, he does it, he asks God again. David prayed, oh Lord, I've heard that Saul is planning to come and destroy me. Will the leaders of Keilah betray him to me? And the Lord said he will come. Again, David asked, and again the Lord replied, yes, they will betray you. So he brought this to mind that I had read and sort of just like skimmed over and said, do you see how David asked me every little question? Do you see how he came to me again and again and again? And I answered him again and again and again. And the Lord said, that's what I want to do with you this weekend. I want to sit with you face to face, knee to knee, elbow to elbow, shoulder to shoulder, my hand on your hand, my hand on the keyboard. I want you and I to go back and forth to the point where you feel clear and you feel like you know exactly what you're supposed to do. And it was so new. I don't even know the word. I don't want to say scary, but it was so new to me because I feel like I've been treating God lately sort of like this mystical thing that if you look at it too hard, it's going to disappear. Like, do you know what example came to my mind? You know when you get a floaty in your eye? Have you ever had that? Or like when you look at a light and you shut your eye and you can still see the outline of it, but if you move your eye and look at it, it's gone. You know what I'm talking about. Don't act like I'm crazy. But I think I've been treating his instructions like that. Like if I don't see it exactly listed out in the Bible, I've been having a real hard time interpreting his voice and his instruction because I'm reading it or I'm hearing it and then it's getting in my head and it's getting jumbled and I'm getting unsure. And so for him to just bring that up and give me permission to wrestle was this wildly freeing experience. And I said, all right, I'm in. Let's go. And so he proceeds to tell me basically the 5 areas of my life that I am called to. Just oopsie daisy wise. I mean, mothering, parenting, wifing, friending, like these are all things, yes. But just strictly business related and dream related, he pointed out 5 fields that I'm supposed to plow or like 5 crops that I'm supposed to plant. It's writing books, speaking this podcast, being on social media, writing this marriage masterclass that I'll tell you about, and one more crazy one, which is designing merchandise. And I'm like, what? And these are all things that have sort of floated into my head as just ideas. Like I've had random ideas. Wouldn't it be cute to have a t-shirt that says some cool conversation starter on it? I outlined a digital masterclass, a marriage masterclass that I've been toying with, and I haven't done anything with it. You know, I've written a children's book and I haven't done anything with it. And so he pointed out these 5 crops that I'm supposed to plant. And he flat out said to me, take off the table this question of, are you called to this? Do you need to do this? The answer to all of this is yes, absolutely. So let's put that to bed right now. Quit waffling if you're supposed to touch this stuff, because you are. And I'm like, okay, well, then why is this so hard? And he said to me, I need you to walk through each of those areas and I need you to ask me, what lies am I believing that are holding me back? And I was like, oh, I just thought I was like struggling as a human being. You know what I mean? Like my ADD is flaring. Maybe my thyroid's involved somehow, but like I never did this therapy work about what's holding me back. And so I walk through each of these areas and there is different lies holding me back in each area, but some of the main ones popped up over and over and over. And it was the fact that, number 1, I'm not qualified for any of this. And it's this idea of, who do you think you are? And the next one is that what I have to share and what I have to say isn't valuable enough that people are going to care about it. Okay, so this is great. I have these lies now. What do you want me to do with them? And I'm going back and forth with him, asking him questions. And he spoke 2 verses over me that I want to speak over you and your life. Okay? This one he spoke over me is Matthew 5:14 through 16. And I'm going to read it to you in the exact version that I read these. And this is like a very basic, my kids read this when they were 7 kind of language. So Matthew 5:14 says this, and I want you to take this for you. You are the light of the world. A town built on a hill cannot be hidden. Also, people don't light a lamp and put it under a bowl. Instead, they put it on a stand. Then it gives light to everyone in the house. In the same way, let your light shine so others can see it. Then they will see the good things you do, and they will bring glory to your Father who is in heaven. He said to me, Amanda, none of this is about you, which is kind of confusing, I'll be honest with you, because it's my voice on a podcast. It's my face on the internet for you guys. And so the devil's been messing with my head going, you just want this to be about you. When in reality, I would love to like ostrich my head in the sand and just show you guys some like nice little writing posts that I like to do. I don't want to put my face out there. I don't want anybody to see me. This is really, really hard for me. But he said, this isn't about you. This is about what I'm doing in you and how that glorifies me, about how people can see my light through you and through what you do, through what you say. Wonderful. Thank you for that, God. I needed that. You know, he doesn't raise us up and he doesn't give us a testimony and he doesn't pull us out of the garbage and the dirt and hold our hands as we walk through hell. And he doesn't bring us through the other side, not even smelling like smoke and in better condition than when we started. He doesn't do that for us to sit behind a bush or on our couch or in our bedroom and not tell anybody about it and not tell anybody about who we used to be and how now we're different because of Jesus. Oh, that got emotional for a second. Hold on. Let me tell you what else he spoke over me. And this one was wild because this one addressed exactly what I've been struggling with was, okay, great. You have me doing these things and you have me dreaming about these things, but I don't really get how that's going to happen. I can't logically see how on paper any of this is going to work. I don't see how I'm going to fit it in my day. I don't see how everything else you called me to is just going to adjust around these like very time consuming things that you have me chasing after. And I just said, that's too much field to plow. And the Lord said to me, look up plow in the Bible. The first verse that popped up was Isaiah 28, starting in verse 23. It's kind of long. Can you hang with me? It's weird too, but listen. Listen and hear my voice. Pay attention to what I'm saying. When a farmer plows in order to plant, does he plow without stopping? Does he keep on breaking up the soil and making the field level? When he's made the surface even, doesn't he plant caraway seeds? Doesn't he scatter cumin seeds? Doesn't he plant wheat in its proper place? Doesn't he plant barley where it belongs? Doesn't he plant spelt along the edge of the field? His God directs him. He teaches him the right way to do his work. And then it goes along and says about how each of those crops is actually harvested as well. And it said, all these insights come from the Lord who rules over all. His advice is wonderful. His wisdom is glorious. There are many different things that a farmer is sowing. He doesn't just plant one thing, and everything isn't dug and planted and weeded and plowed and harvested by the exact same tools. And so the farmer has to stay so connected to the Lord who gives him this knowledge, who tells him that the dill needs to be separated and the barley has to be beat out and cumin seeds are beat out with a stick. Caraway seeds are beaten out with a rod. They aren't separated under a threshing sled. And so it hit me that there are 5 crops here in this passage that this farmer is farming. And there were 5 fields the Lord asked me to plant. And the farmer had to use a different technique to plant, plow, weed, thresh, harvest, separate, gather. Every one of these plants required different tools and different techniques. And the Lord is the one that directs that farmer in every nuance, in every situation that requires a different action and a different mindset. The Lord is the one that guides that farmer. So at this point, I'm on my knees, just surrendering everything. Okay. So these 5 fields, Lord, that you call me to plow, they're yours. I don't know how to do it. I don't know when to do it. I don't know. I mean, now I kind of know why to do it, but the rest is up to you. So this is 7 p.m. Friday night. I am exhausted, like supernaturally exhausted. But there's this pressure in me to keep performing and keep pushing. And I just felt the Lord kind of say, you know what, honey, go to bed. And so at 7:15, I crawled under the covers of my king size suite bed and passed out. At 2:00 the next morning, I woke up, and can I tell you, the visions in my head, the designs, the words, the images, just supernatural creativity that was pouring out of my brain. And so I laid there with my eyes really crinkled shut. You know how you have to try hard to go back to sleep if you wake up at 2:00 in the morning on a random day and you have to function the rest of the day? 4:00's reasonable. I can make it at 4, but 2, that's a disaster. And the Lord said to me, you have no responsibilities. Okay. This is your time. If I'm gonna wake you up at 2, you should get up at 2 and do this. So from 2 to approximately 8:00, I proceeded to put onto screen the merchandise designs that the Lord put in my head. Just these beautiful visions and designs and ideas and colors and words and fonts, all of these things that is not necessarily part of my normal, I'm not a clothing designer. I'm not a t-shirt designer. I don't know what I'm doing. So I'm in Canva just making stuff like it's my job. And by 8:00, I was done. And so I'm sitting there with my arms crossed, looking at this computer screen going, really? I mean, really? Who do I think I am? Am I really called to this? So the same lies that he just tried to pull out of me the night before are just coming up again. And a notification on TikTok pops up. And I was like, don't look at your TikTok. This is focus time, Amanda. Well, of course, I grab my phone and look at my TikTok. And there's a message from a woman who comments on one of my videos. And we get into kind of this message conversation. And I look at her profile and I realize that she is doing some things with clothing. And so I messaged her and I said, it's going to sound weird. It's creeping on your profile, but I'm curious what kind of work you do. Well, lo and behold, this woman does merchandise. And she starts telling me we do hats and we do shirts and we do this. And I just wept because I had just been praying out loud to God about how I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure this was the right move and this doesn't even make sense. And immediately the confirmation comes in where he plops somebody in my lap. So at that point, I'm all in. I'm believing in these 5 fields. I am ready for a new level of obedience that I have never felt before, been committed to before, been chasing after before. I'm ready. The rest of the day, I proceed to just wrestle with God with questions, strategy, a plan, and I come out of it the next morning with not only what I realize now is a complete business plan, complete with financial things, profit funnels, how one profit can lead into the next part of the ministry. I mean, I came up with a whole company here. And so it's not just the idea either. He laid out to me how to organize it. And he laid out to me how to organize myself, my day, my thoughts, in order to actually push all of these things forward at one time and not run away from any of it. It just took some time to be quiet and reflected on the last couple months and how every single decision and every single step that I have taken or thought about taking has felt so confusing, and I have been so wishy-washy about making these decisions and staying strong in these decisions. And I have been gathering people's opinions. What do you think I should about this? And what do you think that I should do about this? And do you think I should do merch? And do you think I should homeschool my kids? Do you think this? I have been just gathering everybody else's opinion, and I have been like blown back and forth in the wind when their opinion doesn't match what I was thinking. And so the Lord really clearly said to me, think about David. If you don't know the story of David, David gets anointed to be king at a very young age, but Saul is going to be king first. And so David is anointed. And after that, all of these like weird things happen. He goes to work in Saul's court as like a harpist, a musician, because Saul's got some weird spiritual stuff going on, and David's harp helps him calm down. And Saul gets really concerned that David's going to take everything away from him. And so Saul starts pursuing him and chasing him and trying to kill him. And at one point, David's playing his harp and Saul throws like a sword or a spear at the wall behind his head and tries to kill David. And David's like, "Oop, gotta get out of here." And so he's running all over the wilderness, and Saul is pursuing him, and he's in caves, and he's like trying to get help. How confusing that must have been for David to know that there was a calling on his life, and for everything to kind of go wonky and have to make decisions in light of what was spoken over you a long, long time ago, and still be faithful to that and still believe that even when nothing in your ordinary day looked like it was going to happen, and even when nothing made sense. So I sat with that for a minute, and the Lord said to me, if you are going to be truly obedient, can you make decisions confidently? Can you walk forward faithfully, even if everybody else disagrees with you? Even if what nobody else's opinion is looks anything like what I told you, can you still do it? Will you still do it? And honestly, I was like, nope. Truly, nope. Because I've come to find out I'm a verbal processor. Okay, weird of a podcast where that's what I'm doing with you right now. But no, I didn't know that about myself. I am a verbal processor. It does help me to talk through things. And I love to go to people in my life and ask them what I think I should do. Except here's the problem, is that everybody else has their own opinion. And not everybody else can see the past, present, and future like my God can. Not everybody else knows the tiny step or the tiny seed that I plant today, how that's going to bloom and grow for generations. Nobody knows that. So everybody's just making decisions based on what makes logical sense. And from what I'm learning, sobbing in the streets of Philadelphia and going to weed-soaked hotels for 2.5 days, I'm learning that in order to do what God called me to do, I'm going to have to do some things that are completely illogical. And I'm going to have to be comfortable with that. And maybe not even comfortable with that. I'm just going to have to be committed to that. And I think that's maybe what the Lord is looking for from us, is not to be comfortable, but to be committed. To have that scrappy patriot attitude that says, I believe in this so much that I'm going to go for it. And not even I believe in this idea or this theory or this action so much, but I believe, Lord, in you so much. I trust you so much that I am committed above and beyond my comfort level. And I truthfully don't think I've had that before. I've just sort of been hoping things are going to work out, but I have never been truly committed to uncomfortable obedience. And so here's my challenge to you. I'm not talking about some motivational message if you're going to start a business. I mean, take it for that. If that's where the Lord said it in your gut, take it and run with it. But I'm talking about sitting down with God, locking eyes with him, grabbing him by the collar of his shirt and saying, I'm not moving until you answer some questions for me. And really listening to what he has for you in the areas of uncomfortable obedience. He is ready to give you dreams and goals and strategies and organization and time and energy and blessing and favor. He's ready to do all this with you. But you got to go to him first. Because if you waste your time and your focus asking everybody else, then what's going to happen is this. You're going to get 15 opinions that are all a little bit different. And then you're going to go back to God and say, okay, I have these 15 options. What do you think I should do? And you're going to have to weed through each one in your head. And there's going to be pros and cons about both. That's what sucks, is that there's a lot of times when God calls us to do something or make a decision, and it's not between right and wrong. Those are easy. Like, hear me. Right and wrong is easy. I know I'm not supposed to smoke crack off the back of the toilet seat in City Club bar. I get that. That's easy. That's a no. But the decision to send my 9th grader to public high school, or to do the uncomfortable thing and pull her to be homeschooled and get a faith-based education and prepare her now for what a college atmosphere and lifestyle looks like, to give her those life skills and let her work and make some money. Like, those are both fine options. They both have pros, they both have cons, but you're choosing between here's one, here's the other. There's no clear right or wrong. So there's a vulnerable moment for you that I've been struggling with, is uncomfortable obedience in what I feel deep down is right, but doesn't make sense to a lot of people that we talk to. There's a few that have the same mindset and are kind of hearing the same thing as me, but a lot of people have questioned, some of our decisions lately and some of my decisions, and it's been hard. So I guess I wanted to tell you what I've been learning. I guess I wanted to tell you my commitment to uncomfortable obedience. And I want to challenge you to examine your life and the fields that you're called to plow and figure out where the Lord is calling you to uncomfortable obedience. And let me be honest with you. I also hope that in some way, shape, or form, whether that's social media, sending an email, texting, whatever this looks like, I'm hoping that some part of us can do this together, because we need accountability. We need somebody that we can message or call that's going to say, I don't know what to tell you. Let me pray with you and get your booty back to the Lord. Sit with him, listen to him, figure it out. So that's what I'm going to be doing, and I'm looking for some people to do that with me. So get a hold of me. I'm all over the place. I'll link my email in the show notes. Send me a message on social media. If you have my phone number, text me. If you want my phone number, message me and I'll give it to you. Guys, we can't do this by ourselves. It is so uncomfortable. It feels scratchy in my soul, like the Easter tights my mom used to make me wear every year when I hated dresses and that dang Easter bonnet. I hated Easter because of those itchy tights and that weird hat. Uncomfortable obedience. Doesn't feel natural, and we need to do it together. So that being said, I am hoping this doesn't bite me in the butt, but I'm putting something out there. Okay? Let me tell you some changes that you are going to see coming up, some opportunities that you have coming up that I'm super excited about, that I know in like the most deep part of my soul, brain, and body that are from the Lord. So here's what I'm putting out there. I am committing to doing 52 podcasts in a row every week. Oopsie Daisy used to be every other week. And for a few months now, the Lord has been toying with this idea of me of, you got to go for it. You got to give every week. And it's not because you're performing and it's not because people expect you to, but it's because This is a way for us to come together. It's a way for us to share encouragement. It's a way for us to grow together, wildly obedient, wildly faithful, wildly ourselves and vulnerable and in love with Jesus and just wildly on fire. And that's what I want to do is I want to go there together. So we're doing it. We're doing 52 straight podcasts. I understand this is a year. I am committing to a full year of weekly podcasts, and I'm hoping you listen because who knows? Some of them might be long. Some of them might be 12 minutes. I'm going to show up on video with my hair not done and my teeth not brushed, or like today when I got my Laneige lip gloss on from my 14-year-old. That was my Mother's Day gift. Can I tell you, I felt so fresh when I put that on. So before this podcast, I put my Laneige lip gloss on. I'm just feeling fabulous over here. So we've got weekly podcasts coming up. We have video podcasts coming up. There will be more real and raw from me on social media. No more performance, no more masking. There will be connection available. I want to connect with you. I want to talk to you. I want to hear your ideas. I don't want to just sit here behind a microphone and preach at you and teach at you and talk to you. I want to talk with you because you have valuable things as well that I need for my journey. And I just want to walk alongside some people. Okay. A couple other exciting things coming up. I'm working on publishing a children's book. It's all written. You guys, I wrote it last year. It took me 25 years to write. Actually, it didn't. It took me 2 years to write this children's book because it's really symbolic of my story. And if you haven't heard my story, listen to episode 13. All the raw, gross, just real details in episode 13. So I'm working on getting that out into the world and getting that into the hands of families so they can read it together and spend time together and just grow with their children together. I'm also working on a digital course called The L Word, 6 Weeks to Complete Marriage Transformation. This is born out of what I have lived and walked through. Again, episode 13. Or the episodes of Chris's story where we talk about marriage a lot. But this is born out of what I have lived and breathed and struggled and cried and just, it was like a gauntlet, a bloody gauntlet that we have walked through in marriage and have seen God just do an incredible work. And so this course is really geared towards women. I want to, in the nicest way possible, dismantle your brain a little bit towards your husband, because that's what God did to me. I had to be taken apart a little bit. He had to show me everything wrong that I was really believing and rebuild my thoughts towards my husband, rebuild my mindset towards marriage, rebuild my perspective on being a wife. And I'm not talking about like Proverbs 31 woman. We're not talking about that. It is 6 pillars, 6 places in your brain to rethink and reprogram so that your marriage will come out changed on the other side. This is for people who want to see wild freedom and wild joy and wild adventure in their marriage and are not seeing it right now. So I'm working on that. Watch for that. We've got merchandise coming up. Should I call it merch to purge? We're gonna have stuff for you to buy. And this isn't like, I think one of the shirts might say oopsie daisy because that's really fun. But it's all going to be conversation starters that if you wear these out in the world, people are going to be like, what does that mean? And then you get to tell them. You get to tell them your story. So I am walking through radical, wild, uncomfortable obedience. I want you to as well. Stop gathering opinions from everybody else. Sit your butt down with Jesus and ask him 1,000 questions until you have what you need to move forward confidently, to move forward knowing that you have a light that the world needs. You have a story the world needs. You have skills and talents and gifts that the world needs. And will you do me a big favor? If this podcast, not necessarily this episode, but if this podcast at all has touched you, challenged you, changed you, delighted you, made you giggle, made you roll your eyes, whatever, will you please take a minute, whatever platform you're streaming on, will you just take a minute and put a review in there? I don't care if it's 1 star. I don't care if it's 5 stars. You just be honest. Number one, that helps me know what can be changed and what's touching people. But it also helps the podcast algorithm share it and get it out to people who need this message. I believe that the Lord will do that. But man, let's partner with him and just like put a review on it, and so it can get sent out faster and farther. Let's grow this thing together. Let's grow wild together for Jesus. I love you guys. I'm crying about it all. I'm excited. I'm scared. But hold me accountable. Hold my feet to the fire. I'll do the same for you. We'll talk soon.